Hi, everyone. I'm Gary Berman. Welcome to the Cyber Hero Adventure Show. Our mission is to shine the light on the unsung cyber heroes who toil in anonymity to keep us safe and to pivot the entire community from fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD, to fun. So I'm going to show you an example of that, which is a 64-year-old man wearing a superhero costume going to Best Buy. What could possibly go wrong? Stay tuned, and you'll have an opportunity to find out. Speaking of from FUD to fun, let's introduce one of our great defenders of the digital universe, Herb Reiblatt. Hey, Herb, how you doing?
Hey, Gary, I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
What a privilege to have you on the show. You were a very important part of the micro think tank that we just hosted last week pertaining to the nexus of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. And we had a debrief meeting today, and you and a bunch of our defenders said, Gary, the thing that makes this experience different and better is we have fun. So be careful what you ask for.
Well, look, it's a serious topic, but that doesn't mean it has to be dull and boring. And I think the opportunity to be able to have some lightness in the middle of all this darkness is a key contribution of the kind of stuff that we're doing.
You know, that's a really interesting and worthwhile kind of analogy, lightness and darkness. And, you know, it's interesting that in the cybersecurity ecosystem, we use terms like, white hat and black hat. And but what I've experienced so far in my sort of Forrest Gump journey into cybersecurity, which actually began by attending 53 cybersecurity conferences in 3 years, like many of you, that's really actually the source of my superpower. But what was interesting to me is that everything to me seems kind of gray. It's very hard to get light and dark sorts of things. Is that a valid, sort of perspective?
Yes. I mean, look, the biggest problem is we've got people who are trying to attack us, trying to extort money, trying to steal data, trying to embarrass people. And we have to have defenses against those things. Those are serious issues, but that doesn't mean they have to always be discussed with frowns on your face, because there's another side to it. And if people only focus on the threat, they don't have any chance to engage in it in a full way. Right. I used to go to conferences and somebody would get up and they'd give a talk about how this is a danger, this is a danger, this is a danger. And you go away feeling, oh, terrible. I can never do anything because everything I do is a danger. Some of that is still true. But at the same time, we can't let people go hide under a rock. We can't force them to go hide under a rock. They've got to engage with the world, and we've got to make it accessible to people. And if all they ever hear when they come to one of these presentations is how terrible everything is, it just is intimidating and serves no purpose.
Well, that is a great segue to our next guest, Rick Mew, who actually is all about shining the light and elevating people and getting them trained and upskilled. Hey, Rick, welcome to the show.
Hey, Gary, thank you for having me.
And I'd like to say, that Rick and his cohort, Steve Cockcroft from Cyber Professionals, are sponsors of today's show and of our micro think tank. So thanks a lot for doing that, Rick. Are you a glutton for punishment or something?
No. This is a very worthwhile investment for us. I think Herb said it perfectly. We need to take this from gloom and doom to making it a top of mind issue, having everyone become a superhero at some level to take action, against the bad guys and to protect themselves and their families. So I think, that's our sponsorship. Sure, if it gives us visibility in the marketplace and we get a few new customers, that's great. But I think it's part of our core mission to help the U.S. and other countries, other institutions to basically learn, the skills they need to take that action that I mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Why do you refer to yourself as Dr. Risk?
Well, the business we're in is all about cybersecurity risk management. We like to tell folks that our focus is to help organizations understand what it takes to manage the business of cybersecurity or cybersecurity risk management. Cybersecurity for a long time has been very technically focused. So, and people actually get scared of that or get scared by that because they think, oh, do I have to be a rocket scientist to get into this field? Do I have to be a certified ethical hacker or a pen tester? And the answer is no, you don't, because there are two sides to cyber. One is the technical side and one is the business side. And the business side is all about managing its risk, identifying and managing its risk. So that's what we teach people. And so, I've had a lot of interest from a lot of different folks who want to get into this field, whether they be retired veterans who are transitioning from the military, or whether they be lawyers who want to transition out of the legal profession into the cyber profession, or just displaced workers, people who just need to find a new career for whatever reason. So, we've created a program that enables that to happen. And it turns out it's kind of perfectly timed because, the world now realizes, based upon all the activity that's taken place over the last few months, especially over the last few years, that we really need to get control of our risk. If we don't, the bad guys will continue to win. So that's what we do. We teach people how to get control of that risk.
We have some breaking news. Stand by. The let's see, breaking news. The Cyber Hero Network is the tip of the spear to pivot the community from FUD to fun. What do you think about that, Herb?
I think that fits in with the theme that we were just discussing, and I think it's a good idea. I also want to say, Rick, that what you're doing is really important because not only does it take technical action to be able to address cybersecurity, it takes executive action. It takes the kind of people that you're talking about training to be able to make things happen at all levels of the organization. I think it's really important what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And, cybersecurity risk management is an organizational thing, and everyone has a role in it at some level, whether it be the average worker who needs to just make sure they stop, think, and then click, versus just click and then think afterwards. And by that time, it's too late, as well as just anyone in the organization, especially the executive team, because it has to start from the top down. That's the only way it's going to work.
Speaking of executive team and senior leaders, let's jump into some of the interesting things that we had the privilege of listening, learning from four really great keynote speakers. Beginning with you, Herb. One of the things that I was sort of blown away by is how you distill complicated technology information by using kind of analogies. And your opening slide that you presented to everyone, computational T cells. I mean, are you kidding? I thought that was brilliant. Maybe you can share with our audience a little bit about your analogy of healthcare and
Sure.
cybersecurity.
Sure. I mean, the idea is you can wear a mask to try to stop COVID, for example, or try to stop any kind of infection from getting in. But somehow or other, it seems no matter how you protect your periphery, you still get colds, you still get COVID, you still get whatever it is. And the body has evolved ways of dealing with that by saying, okay, here's something that is inside already. How am I going to deal with it? And T cells are the body's way of attacking intruders. So it seemed to me that what we really need to do then is to have a way of attacking intruders in our networks. We've had a lot of emphasis on protecting the border, on basically putting masks on our networks, but still the bad guys seem to get in. And it's not a question of will they get in, it's a question of when. And once they get in, do they have free range, or do we take care of and defend ourselves after the fact? So this slide talks about how they get in. And there's a lot of different ways that they do that may or may not be defendable by protecting the border. and eventually they do find their way in, and we have to be able to identify it after the fact. So this is what Rick was talking about in terms of getting everybody involved in it. It's not just a technical problem. It's a social problem. It's a management problem. It's everybody's problem. And one reason it's everybody's problem is because of all the ways that the attackers can get in.
Exactly, and this to me was really an interesting illustration of exactly what you're talking about. Maybe you can share with our audience kind of a couple key takeaways from this particular slide.
Yeah, so I think our emphasis has been largely on the reactive defense in the upper left-hand corner. That is, we protect ourselves from things that we know. I was looking at a cybersecurity report, and it listed out all the different known malware that was used by an attacker to be able to get in. And there's a lot of it that's known. A lot of it can be recognized, but we can't stop there. We can go back and we can look at where have we been attacked in the past, and what can we do about that. But the real problem is in the upper right-hand quadrant, where we have to deal with things that we haven't seen before, things that we don't know, and how can we identify them, and how can we identify the tracks that those things leave in our networks. And that's where I think the real threat hunting, the real T-cell kind of approach is going to be important. How do we identify new things?
Indeed, and so Rick, based on Herb's 4 quadrants and what you're hearing here, how is what you're doing, your mission, aligned with that? How does it support it? Maybe you can tell our audience a little bit about kind of what you do and why you do it.
Absolutely. The chat was, related to it very quickly, because I've been in the best practice training business for over 20 years now. So I've been helping organizations. Prior to cyber becoming the issue it is today, I was helping organizations really get their digital business, or the technical side of their digital business, aligned with the business side of their business. So I've been helping organizations kind of, put together a set of best practices that would enable those digital services to be, delivered with, with the right cost, with the right quality, with the right compliance if they needed to be compliant. And basically that evolved into making sure they were, built for safety as well in terms of managing their risk. So what we found early on in the digital world was that a lot of people, had the right ideas but the wrong execution. And as Herb pointed out, they were pretty much being reactive versus proactive. So they really weren't thinking through how to put in place the right processes, the right controls, the right systems. They were just really looking to get digital services out there as fast as they could without truly understanding what value those services were delivered, what outcomes the client expected, and what did they need to do as a business to ensure that. So they were reactive. So what happened was they had a lot of problems, and so the problems were coming back at them, and they had to figure out how to deal with these problems to keep their clients happy. So when we first started in this business, we would teach organizations how to be proactive, how to develop a strategy, a set of action items in order to implement that strategy, and then be able to measure that strategy and continually improve that strategy going forward. Well, that's the same thing that holds true in cybersecurity. If you don't really think about, the problem, in other words, really understand where you're at right now, identify your gaps, and then put in place the systems or controls or management programs to mitigate those gaps and to improve your security, then you're going to be in reactive mode all the time. You never get out of that quadrant. All right. So you need to move to proactive. What that does is has a direct impact on reactive. It actually reduces the amount of reactive time you have to put in place in order to deal with problems, because you've reduced the number of problems.
Well, with that in mind, it's a perfect segue. Michael Garris, when I first met him, it was part of my sort of Forrest Gump into the journey into the digital universe. I happened to hear a news report going on in the background when I was working, and it talked about the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence, and my ears perked up. I said, "Wow!" So this is a report that was submitted to Congress in the last month or so, and Michael Garris was the technical advisor to the committee, and it's an incredibly august group of people. He presented yesterday at our last week at our micro think tank, and Eric Schmidt was the chairman of this commission, and just many other incredibly influential people. And it was just an amazing privilege to have Michael on the show and giving a micro keynote speech yesterday. And Herb, you were there. You heard his talk. What'd you think about it?
Oh, I think that this whole report and Michael's presentation of it was wonderful. When the report came out, I said, "Oh, this is what I've been trying to figure out how to ask somebody in the government to do." So I was really glad, because I don't have any connections in the government. But when I saw this, I said, "Oh, yes, pow, zam, bam." And it has,
wait. Time out. Hold on. Okay, I thought we agreed I would do the humor and you focus on cybersecurity. You're entering my space here, man. You're being too funny and too entertaining.
Sorry about that, man. But we never agreed.
Okay.
You simply declared.
Okay, that's true. Sorry, go on. Pow.
Pow, zam, bam. So yeah, I think the kind of stuff and Michael presented it in a really great way. I think you said he compressed was it 75 pages down into 20 minutes?
756 pages into 20
756 pages into 20 minutes, and did it well.
I got goosebumps.
Practically unheard of.
I told him I got goosebumps, and I've interviewed over 100 people. It's the first time I've ever had a physical effect.
But they attacked all of the important issues in artificial intelligence and the government. They didn't consider everything relevant to artificial intelligence, but they did consider it in the context in which they were charged. AI and security, and how does that fit together? They didn't solve all the problems, but they gave a thoughtful consideration to it all, and Mike just presented it masterfully.
Yeah, he really did. And so Rick, through your body of experience, you had quite a bit of experience with machine learning and artificial intelligence. And what's your sort of takeaway in general of its role in cybersecurity?
Yeah, I think AI plays a very important role. One of the things we teach in our programs is that you can put together your strategy. You can select the control systems that you want to put in place to support that strategy, but you really need to think about an underpinning management system capable of helping you fully automate as much as possible about your program, because the problem has gotten so big that it's really difficult to do that, through spreadsheets and through other methods that people have used over the years. So AI and natural language processing and things like that play a key role. I'll give you an example. One of the things that we teach organizations is that everything starts with an assessment. All right. So if you're an organization that is going through an assessment to figure out how you align or comply with, let's say, the NIST cybersecurity framework, that's one framework that has a fairly large number of questions associated with it. There's lots of people involved. So you really need to have a system that is capable of allowing you to do that on scale. Okay. Now think about that for a second. If you not only have a requirement to do an assessment for the NIST framework, but you are now under regulatory rules to do one for HIPAA and one for GDPR and for every other compliance framework that's out there, how do you scale that as well? So that's where AI and NLP and other types of technologies come in to assist in that process. It's the only way we can scale this and get it done quickly, and then utilize that underpinning footprint or those underpinning management systems to continually improve going forward.
And to build on that point, one of the interesting things that that I experienced early on, and I'll just ask you about your opinion about this, is that criminals seem to be horizontally organized, where they freely share information, back and forth, best practices. They even have the equivalent of some Yelp rating system for all these illicit activities and stuff like that. And the defenders, folks like you, are more vertically structured, and there are some regulatory reasons for that, for laws, disclosure, stuff like that. There are financial reasons like competition, in the ecosystem and stuff like that. So we were really privileged to have Peter Jung, the president of the IT ISAC from BAE Systems, also sponsor our micro think tank and being part of this amazing journey. And he was incredibly interesting in terms of some of the insights that he shared. First, just really thinking about the IT and ISAC mission overall. The ISACs are at a very, very important point right now. I don't have to tell our audience, because of everything that's happening with all the big attacks on industrial control systems and things like that. And the White House and the whole of government is now, really trying to rethink and reorient towards a more forward-leaning, position when it comes to cybersecurity. Herb, what did you think about Peter's presentation?
Yeah, what part of what you just said, that even the government is leaning towards this. There's the executive order that came out a few weeks ago that essentially reinforces these ideas. The criticism that I hear of the executive order is, show me the money. But aside from that, what Peter talked about was real life work, real life. How do we share information? That's the purpose of the ISACs, to share the information so that attacking one is attacking all kind of approach. And how can we leverage?
Yeah, that's a really great way of saying, I guess the NATO, kind of attack against one is attack against all is a great reference. So this is one of Peter's slides. By the way, for our audience, we're going to be including all the presentations up in a YouTube link that you'll be able to watch and to share online. They were really, quite incredible. This is one of the slides, I just picked out for this brief recap that we're doing here today. You guys want to take a shot? What do you think about what you're looking at here?
Well, one of Peter's big points was A stands for artificial, but it also stands for automation. And what Rick was saying as well, if we try to do all this stuff by hand, we're never going to be able to keep up. So even if AI means only we're going to automate what we're trying to do, even that would be a huge advance over what we're doing now for most people. You agree, Rick?
I agree 100%. In fact, as Gary mentioned, those who are attacking us are well organized, well educated, have a really good system in place, probably as good as Amazon in some cases, at least in their world it is, not in our world. But the point is that we need to have the same thing or have something better, because if we are able to put in place the systems that will help us quickly identify, protect ourselves as quickly as we can, or detect that they're there, and then respond and recover, it's a match game. We're operating at the same level. Right now we're not, and we need to get there. So automation and what Peter was talking about really plays a key role in enabling that to happen.
And
that's a really good point.
Yeah, and speaking of enabling things to happen in cyber war, our last presenter was Dr. Chase Cunningham. I'm not sure, Chase, forgive me if it's supposed to be Chase Cunningham and then PhD afterwards. Not really sure how. You're a PhD. How does that work?
Either way works fine.
Okay.
You can call him Dr. Chase. You can call Dr. Rick. You can call Dr. Herb, or you can just put PhD at the end. There are people in our world who complain that PhDs aren't real doctors, but we are.
Well, I don't know if here's a scoop. I have a PhD. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to have to call you Dr. Gary from now on.
Well, I'm a PhD. I'm poor, hungry, and driven. That's my PhD. And for that matter, in terms of my education, I think you also did not know that I went to Harvard. Did you know that?
I've been to Harvard.
Yeah, I went to Harvard.
I attended some meetings there once.
Hey, don't steal my punchline. I was going to say I've been to Harvard. It was a Thursday, and I bought a great coffee mug and a T-shirt.
I've been to MIT, and I bought 2 great T-shirts.
Fair enough. It's really funny you say that, because peripherally I was not involved, but a little part of the MIT Mathematician of the Year award. I was just sort of on this thing, whatever, and I failed algebra twice.
But at least you can count it twice.
Well, thank you. Okay. So with that in mind, this Chase is just unbelievable. I mean, this guy is one of the smartest people I've met, including you guys. I mean, what a privilege to listen and learn from him. And, he started out by saying something very interesting, to our audience. He said, or to me anyways, he said, I have to leave in about 30 minutes because, I have a Department of Defense call, and, stay tuned, watch your television. You're going to be hearing a big announcement. And that was all he said. And I said, can I get a scoop? I've never had a scoop. But he didn't. So keep your eyes out for some big announcement. He's behind it in some way. So it was very interesting. He had a different view of AI. And I picked out this slide as one. We don't have it yet, was kind of his view. And algorithms are getting smarter. Herb, I know you had a nice discussion with him during the micro think tank. What's your take? Realizing he's not here to amplify his point, but
he doesn't need to defend himself, because I think it's largely what we mean by artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. Clearly, Petter wouldn't agree with that, because he talked about it. We as a group don't agree with his opinion, because this is all about AI and cybersecurity. What he must mean, and what Mike pointed out he must mean, is artificial general intelligence. That is, we don't have something you can go and have a conversation with that will just run off and invent things for you. What we have is what he calls algorithms, and these are narrow artificial intelligence, what most people call them, and they have to do with solving specific kinds of problems. Mm-hmm. So he's right in this. If he means, no, we don't have general artificial intelligence, we don't have data from Star Trek. What we have is something that will recognize pictures of fish and identify them. We have tools that will recognize phishing emails to change the use of fish. But we don't have something that says, I'm not going to work on cybersecurity today. I think I'm going to go write some poetry. We don't have anything.
Well, that's interesting, because, and for our audience, before I show you this next thing, this came from Chase Cunningham, PhD's presentation. That's what he had in there. What do you have to say about that, Rick?
Well, probably true in some ways. I mean, I think I call it marketeer, whatever. They basically are spinning it to their advantage. All right. I laugh when people talk about, they use the term digital transformation, like it just happened yesterday, And digital transformation has been going on since the beginning of the first computer and the first network. I mean, as long as I've been in the business, which is over 40 years. So, I mean, it's just people use these terms to create competitive advantage, maybe to create clarification.
That part is true.
You know what I mean? And so, but AI does exist. Totally agree with what Herb said. We've got AI. AI has been around for a long time. I know, and I grew up in the field of information technology, mostly on the networking side. And operations was getting more and more and more expensive. So organizations needed to find technology that would automate some of the operational tasks that were well known. Okay, so they created products to support that. That's a version of AI. All right, same thing holds true in the cyber world and some of the things I described earlier. So AI is here to serve specific purposes or perform specific functions. But as Herb said, and as Chase said, Dr. Cunningham said, from a general point of view, it's not here yet. And as I think I remember him saying, he hope it never arrives.
No, that's true. That was really funny and true. I mean, my goodness, we even in the 4 hours of programming that we had during this, we could have gone a month. I mean, to try to unpack the interesting and complex and relevant aspects of all this. But as we're kind of wrapping up, I'm going to make a little announcement here, and Herb is going to be our first member and did not know it. So join the Cyber Hero Network Book Club. And the reason is he's about to show you his book, I bet. That's what I thought. And tell us about the book, Herb.
It's about artificial intelligence.
That is such a coincidence.
What are the barriers? Here, let me read from the back of it.
No.
Journalist audience.
No.
Explains the current state of AI and all the hard things still to be figured out before we can get to truly intelligent machines.
Well, okay, you can't do that.
I didn't write that.
No. You can't do that. I can't. We have to find that line, like editorial thought leadership, and not go into selling stuff. You might have.
No, that's right. That's from Rodney Brooks, though.
Oh, okay.
He's the guy who founded the company that makes Roomba.
Well, wait a minute. Not just that. You were kind enough to connect us with your editor because he saw the editor of that book, right? I forget his name.
Yes.
What can you say?
It's Phil. Phil.
And he's from where?
MIT Press.
How about them being part of our Cyber Hero Network Book Club? Yeah. What a good idea. Anyways, if you want to be part of the Cyber Hero Network, or part of our book club, or part of the Cyber Hero Adventure Show, or sponsor our work, or be part of the think tank, you can just shoot an email to Gary at cyberheroescomics.com, and love to hear from you. If you want to be a guest on the show, send me a note. You can connect on LinkedIn as well. So as we're wrapping up, Rick, thanks again for you and cybersecurity professionals for sponsoring our show and our effort. We really appreciate it. How does our audience get more information about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just visit either the ITSM Solutions website, ITSM Solutions with the S.com, or cybersecurity-professionals.com. They can get information on all the products there and services that we offer.
Okay. And Herb, how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, it's H. Roitblatt, ROITBLAT, at mimecast.com.
At mimecast.com. Well, that's cool. Well, I said earlier, right at the beginning of the show, about this goofball wearing a superhero costume. Let's take a look. Oh, we're going to the return area.
On top of this stuff here, that's all you gotta do.
Okay. So here we go. It's easy peasy to recycle at Best Buy. Ah. Mission accomplished. What could go wrong? 6'5" guy dressed in a superhero costume going to Best Buy. I don't even want to tell you what happened. I almost got thrown out. But we did a show on sustainability and end of life e-waste management. How do you safely destroy data? How do you recycle so it doesn't hurt the environment? And it was an amazing show for those of you who might be interested in sustainability and that kind of thing. So with that in mind,
how do we see that video, Gary?
Good one, Herb. Thank you. It'll be posted to our newly established YouTube channel. We have never done any of this stuff before, so we're just starting all that, and we'll actually have a new website that's going to be a portal for all these high-level things for cybersecurity. People can come for internships, for employment. They'll be able to buy and sell services, vendors and people who use cybersecurity solutions. They'll be able to get training. You're hearing from Rick and his team. I'm very happy to say that we've already placed 2 women interns. One of our missions is diversity and inclusion as well, so we're doing that. But thank you, Herb. I really appreciate that. I need to learn how to be a better promoter of our own stuff. But, on behalf of a grateful digital universe, Rick and Herb and all of the defenders, thank you so much for who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And stay tuned for more. Our next think tank is on July 15th. It's going to be Defending Your Health. It'll be about cybersecurity and healthcare. And then we're going to do cybersecurity and automotive called Defending Your Wheels. And every month for the next year, we'll be aligned with CISA's critical infrastructure sectors and doing these micro think tanks in our continuing effort to support all you real-life unsung cyber heroes. So until then, thank you so much and stay safe online.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.